No, that feeling when you've spent your entire adult life being invisible to your own family, and then suddenly, the moment something valuable lands in your name, everyone remembers you exist? That's exactly what happened to me. And honestly, I should have seen it coming. But I didn't. Because no matter how many times your family has let you down, there's always that small, stubborn part of you that hopes this time will be different. It wasn't. My name is Claire. I'm 32 years old. I live in Portland, Oregon, and until 14 months ago, I was exactly what my family needed me to be. Quiet, agreeable, and easy to overlook. I'm the middle child of three. My older brother Daniel was the one my parents bragged about at dinner parties. My younger sister Amber was the one they worried about, fussed over, and constantly rescued. And me? I was the one who paid her own way through college, moved out at 22 without asking for a dime, and checked in on my parents every Sunday because I genuinely thought that was what good daughters did. I work in commercial real estate. Not glamorous. But I'm good at it. I understand contracts the way some people understand music, intuitively, almost physically. I notice the clauses other people skip. I read the footnotes. That skill, it turned out, would become the most important thing about me. My Uncle Robert was my father's older brother. He never married, never had children, and spent 40 years building a small but profitable property management company called Hargrove and Associates. 17 properties across the Pacific Northwest, a loyal team of 12 employees, and a reputation built entirely on handshake integrity. He used to say that a contract was only as good as the person signing it. I used to think that was just something old men said. I don't think that anymore. Uncle Robert and I had what I can only describe as a quiet friendship. He came to my college graduation when my parents forgot to put it in their calendar. He called me on my birthday every single year, not a text, an actual phone call. When I got my real estate license, he took me to dinner at a restaurant I couldn't afford and told me I had a sharper mind than anyone in our family and that I should never let anyone convince me otherwise. I smiled and said thank you. I didn't fully believe him. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the spring. By late fall, he was gone. I was devastated in that quiet way you are when you lose someone who actually saw you. The grief was real and personal, and mine. I didn't think about the will. I wasn't thinking about any of that. I flew home for the service, sat in the second row, and cried in a way I hadn't cried in years. 3 days later, his attorney called me. Uncle Robert had left me Hargrove and Associates, the entire company, all 17 properties, the operating accounts, the client contracts, the staff, and the building lease on the main office on Morrison Street. There was a letter included with the legal documents handwritten, which said simply, "You'll know what to do with it, you always did." I sat on my apartment floor for a long time after that call, and then my phone started ringing. My father called first. His voice was warm in a way it hadn't been in years, which should have been my first warning. He said he just wanted to check in, see how I was holding up, make sure I was doing okay. We talked for 20 minutes. It felt almost normal. I let myself feel hopeful. My mother called the next morning. She said she was proud of me, that Uncle Robert always had a good eye for character. She mentioned, almost casually, that Daniel had been going through a rough patch professionally, a business venture that hadn't worked out, some financial pressure, nothing too serious. But you know how it is. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Daniel called that evening. He didn't bother with small talk. He said that Uncle Robert had probably been confused near the end, that a man with that much going on emotionally and medically wasn't in the best position to make clear-headed decisions about something as significant as a company. He said that the business had always been a family asset, that it had been built with Hargrove money and the Hargrove name, and that it wasn't fair. That word, fair, for one person to walk away with everything. He said he wasn't trying to take anything from me. He just wanted what was right. I asked him what he thought was right. He said he thought the company should be transferred to him. He had experience running businesses. He understood the market. He was in a position to grow what Uncle Robert had built, and I had my own career, my own income. I didn't really need it the way he did. I told him I needed time to think. He said, of course. Take all the time you need. But the attorney was already looking into the estate timeline, and it would probably be better for everyone if we sorted this out sooner rather than later. He said it was already decided. I called my parents back that night. I told them I wasn't comfortable making any decisions about the company right now, that I was still grieving, and that I needed space to process what Uncle Robert had asked me to do. My mother said she understood. My father said I was being selfish. That word hit me like a door slamming shut. I hadn't done anything yet. I'd said nothing and agreed to nothing. And already I was selfish. Over the next 3 weeks, the calls became a campaign. Daniel texted me articles about family business succession. My mother sent me a long email, and I mean long, 8 paragraphs, explaining that holding on to an asset out of sentimentality wasn't honoring Uncle Robert's memory. It was hoarding it. My father called twice more and said increasingly direct things. He said that Daniel had a family to support. He said that I was single, I had no children, I had a good job, and I didn't need a whole company on top of everything else. He said that Uncle Robert had always had a soft spot for me, which was sweet, but it had maybe clouded his judgment. I started keeping a record of every call, every text, every email. I don't know why I did it at the time. Instinct maybe, or maybe working in real estate long enough just trains you to document everything. The last call with my father was the one that ended things. He told me that if I refused to transfer the company to Daniel, they were done with me. Not frustrated, not disappointed. Done. He said it was a matter of family loyalty, and that my choice would tell them everything they needed to know about where I stood. He said some other things too. Things I won't repeat. Things that I have replayed many times since. And each time they land a little differently, but always hurt the same amount. I waited until he was finished. Then I said, I understand. He said, so you'll do the right thing? I said, I understand what you're asking? He hung up. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time. I looked at the stack of documents Uncle Robert's attorney had sent over. I looked at the letter in his handwriting. You'll know what to do with it. And I thought, okay, let me think about what I actually want to do. Here is something I haven't told anyone in my family. In the 2 weeks before that final call from my father, I had already been in conversation with a man named Marcus Webb. Marcus ran a regional property investment group called Webb Capital Partners. I had encountered him professionally twice before, once at an industry conference in Seattle, once on a deal that crossed between our firms. He was sharp, straightforward, and had a reputation for being exactly who he said he was. He had reached out after Uncle Robert's passing with a brief, professional note of condolence. And a single line at the end, if you ever want to discuss Hargrove's future, I'm available. I almost didn't respond, but something about the timing, the way my family was closing in, the way I could feel the pressure building, made me want at least one conversation that wasn't about what I owed someone. We had coffee. Then a follow-up call, then a longer meeting where I brought the full portfolio documentation and he brought his operations director. Marcus was interested in a partnership structure, not a buyout, not a takeover. He wanted to expand into the Portland market and saw Hargrove as an ideal operating base. He was willing to let me maintain a 30% stake and a board seat, keep all 12 employees on, and honor the existing client contracts. He was also willing to move quickly, because that's how he operated. The morning after my father's ultimatum, I called Marcus and told him I was ready to move forward. I need to be precise here, because I think precision matters. I didn't do what I did because I was angry. I was angry, yes, I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But anger wasn't the engine. What drove me was something quieter and more certain. I had spent 32 years contorting myself to fit into a space my family had decided was the right size for me. And Uncle Robert, who had seen me more clearly than any of them, had handed me something real, something he built over a lifetime. He didn't leave it to me out of confusion or sentiment gone sideways. He left it to me because he trusted me. And I was done letting other people decide what to do with the things I had been trusted with. The paperwork took 11 days. Marcus's legal team was efficient and thorough. I had my own attorney review everything twice. We structured the partnership agreement carefully, including a clause that gave me the right to buy back the remaining 70% within 10 years at the original valuation. It was a clean deal. It was exactly what I would have recommended to a client. I didn't tell my family, not because I was hiding, because they had made it very clear that they had stopped asking and started demanding, and I didn't owe them a preview of my decisions. The signing was on a Tuesday. Marcus brought 2 of his team members. My attorney was there. Afterward, Marcus shook my hand and said, "Your uncle built something good here. Let's keep it that way." I believed him. I texted my father that evening. Short, factual. I've made a decision about Hargrove. I've entered into a partnership with Web Capital Partners. The company remains in operation under the existing staff and structure. I want you to know before you hear it elsewhere. He called within 4 minutes. He was not calm. He said I had betrayed the family. He said I had taken something that belonged to all of them and handed it to a stranger. He said Daniel had been counting on this, that my mother was devastated, that I had made my choice, and now I needed to live with it. He said he was serious this time. I was out of this family. Not on the outs. Out. I said, "Dad, I heard you the first time, but I need to ask you something." He said, "What?" I said, "When you told me I was out of the family, can I get that in writing?" He hung up. I know that sounds cold. I want to be honest, I didn't feel cold when I said it. I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time, something I'm still learning to name. Clarity, maybe. Or the particular relief of no longer waiting for something that was never going to come. What happened next is the part I could not have planned. 3 weeks after the partnership was finalized, Marcus began transitioning Web Capital's Portland operations team into the Hargrove offices on Morrison Street. This was always the plan. It was in the agreement. I knew it was coming. What I didn't know, because I had no reason to track Daniel's career moves, was that Daniel had recently applied for a regional director position at Web Capital Partners. Marcus called me before Daniel's interview to let me know, as a professional courtesy. He said he wanted to make sure I was comfortable with the situation, that he ran a clean operation, and he had no interest in making anyone's personal life complicated. I told him he should hire based on merit, same as anyone else. I meant it. Daniel got the job. He found out about the Morrison Street office on his first day of onboarding. I don't know the exact moment it clicked for him. That the company he had just joined was partnered with the company his uncle had left to his sister, the sister he had told was no longer family. I wasn't there, but Marcus told me later that Daniel had gone very quiet in the conference room when he saw the Hargrove & Associates nameplate on the door, and that he'd asked to take a 5-minute break. His direct supervisor in the Portland office is a woman named Patrice, who has been with Hargrove for 9 years, and is one of the 12 employees I made sure to protect in the partnership agreement. She is excellent at her job. She does not tolerate shortcuts. Daniel reports to her. I still hold my 30% stake. I still have a board seat. I attend the quarterly reviews. The company is growing. 3 new properties added in the last fiscal year. 2 more in negotiations. The employees have all stayed. Uncle Robert's clients have all stayed. I visit the office on Morrison Street sometimes. I like the way it feels. It feels like something that was meant to be cared for, and is being cared for. My mother called me about 2 months after everything came out. She didn't apologize, not exactly. She said she hoped I was doing well. That she thought about me. That the situation had been hard on everyone. I told her I was doing well, because I was. I told her I hoped she was okay too, because I did. We talked for a few minutes. She cried a little. I listened. I don't know what my family is anymore. I don't know if that word still means what it used to. I know that Uncle Robert believed in me before I fully believed in myself. I know that he handed me something and trusted me to know what to do with it. I know that I did. My father has not called since the night I asked for it in writing. Somewhere in the Morrison Street office, there's a framed photo of Uncle Robert that Patrice put up after the partnership was announced. She told me she wanted people to know whose vision the company was built on. I walked past it the last time I was there and I thought, he would have found this whole thing pretty funny. I think he would have actually. He always did appreciate a well-written contract. And the thing about a well-written contract is this: everyone knows exactly what they signed. There are no misunderstandings. There are no takebacks. Every party walks in with open eyes and walks out bound by what they agreed to. My family wanted to teach me that loyalty means giving people what they demand from you. Uncle Robert taught me that trust means giving someone what you know they can carry. I know which lesson I'm keeping.